Let's move to texts. Texts are usually considered for contacts, web page information, and so on. Logo usually does not mean anything. If you remember the Thomas Lux company example we made earlier in this lecture and what we're doing here in this book, Poetry in Motion, you can put the company logo to the car, but this doesn't mean anything to everyday viewer as you are a beginning company. It doesn't mean that you have to make it bigger or brighter. You can actually tape the car twice over. It still doesn't tell anything to anybody. It needs some extra text. As in our example, this Thomas Lux company was just founded and offering sewing services. So I'm pretty sure that when Mr. Thomas comes to you and asks for design, he wants to see his logo there, contacts, the web page, Facebook page, address, email, phone number, and so on. Then he wants to put all his specialities to the car, so he can show that he is master at many things. You can start writing a colorful book to the car. Client wanted this. Client may be happy, but he needs to make his customers happy and get to their consciousness. Then they will bring the money to a customer, and then he is actually happy. You are just a tool for his happiness. Instead of 10 lines describing different activities, summarize them as a common denominator in one phrase, preferably no longer than 6 or 7 words, and not in very complicated wording. It will look so much better on the vehicle because no one has time to read these 10 lines. As in a hypothetical example, Thomas Lux, a company offering luxury sewing services. The list might end up something like this. Trying to think what sewing is all about. Sewing, quilting, embroidering, changing zippers, making buttonholes, patching old fabrics, changing sizes, sewing new things from scratch, working on short deadlines, and it is done it for 10 years experience. Instead of all this, you can just say sewing services. Adding a little emotion, emphasizing personality and experience, change the phrase to versatile sewing services, fast and high quality. You can emphasize this by using a different font size and color if you wish. It is important that viewers can read the message and you have communicated that you offer various sewing services. You have experienced and you work fast. Obviously, the wording could be further refined and better sounding construction is possible, but you get the point. The message has been communicated in a compact, matter-of-fact and easy to discern fashion. In the few limited seconds of viewing time, it has to deliver sewing services and Thomas Lux. So next time this person needs sewing services, they can go to online and look for Thomas Lux webpage. Once there, then they will see the full range of Thomas Lux's offers. On the screen, you have the time to read everything about those 10 lines of offers. The moving car is completely different medium. 5 to 10 seconds rule, remember. Let's see the same thing in my design. Firstly, the so-called rubbish one we did in the first section of this lecture. And secondly, my practical design version. With a touch of disruptive design into it, I think that in traffic, in the red line design will make my message to viewers better. First one, I would put as artistical, but I would prefer a second as actual usable design for myself. But let's presume you have managed to keep the text in normal level and you are putting them to the car. If it is a large semi-truck, then there is a lot of room. But in passenger car, there are areas smaller, text are smaller, so there is a big possibility that your text will go over some detail gaps. From front door to back door, for example. So look how your text is cutting this detail gap. If possible, adjust it so that the gap is between words. If this is not possible, then try to keep it in the middle of the letter. In by no means put the text like that so it cuts with the letter's end to this gap. You cannot leave the sticker letter to the gap into the air. You rather press it to the door curve inside or cut it off. Anyway, you are distorting the letter edges, and this actually leave really bad feeling to the viewer. But if you want to put the text in several lines, then usually everybody wants to use capital letters for bigger appearances. But in my mind, this is not correct. Firstly, capital text are in a modern day like shouting. Would you like to shout to the client or be shouted at? I think not. Secondly, human eye is used to read sentenced case texts. So they will read the text faster if they are sentenced case. Remember the 5 to 10 seconds viewing time. You need this little viewing edge with your text. You can use both of them at the same time, then they are supporting each other a bit better. I will show you. If you have a sentenced text and you want to change the dominance, then use actually bold regular settings or use some coloring possibilities. Make some text in color or add colored backgrounds. This will bring one text more presence, makes it more dominant. Dominance can be made also with the different text sizes, but remember that dominant is the first to look and main to remember. So do not make the dominant from a slogan or something like that. Dominant should be company name, short sentence of solution or what you are providing, or homepage address. Other information is usually in a supportive role. Still the same text, but so many different ways to use. Same principle, but with an extra twist of changing one line of text bigger. See how the text dominance changes even when you are using sentenced case text for this. As you can see, there are all the same principles, little bit twists with coloring and text sizes. So this is something you should take a notice on. One example from my work. My client, Animal Shelter, sent me a design for the beautiful minivan stickers. Unfortunately, they sent only one side of it. But how should the other side has to be made? There can be two ways what can made this theme a subject here. First, I can put the design in the same construction to the other side, but that would mean that in one side the dog would be looking to the front and the other side it would looking to the back, as you can see. Second version is make it like a mirrored image. That was actually what the designer wanted in the first place and when he was creating this design. But manufacturer have to ask this. You cannot presume such things. If you do not make other side version to the design also, then at least mention that the other side should create it in a mirror image. Problem solved. So never assume, specify. If you have photos in your design, and you will at some point, then to keep the same image on both sides, it is easy. Just flip it to mirror image and you're done. If this is a nature photo or something like that, it's easy, no problems. But should you have a human in a picture, then there are some points you should take to attention. First, your model face should be looking to forward, to driving direction, or directly to the side, like looking at the viewer. Looking forward is a positive tone, like looking to the future, and looking to the viewer creates also a personal connection. So you will use the same style in a mirroring option for second side of the car. But there is one little thing you have to look. If model has a jacket or t-shirt or something with a word or brand typed on it, you cannot simply put it to mirror image. The image will flip the text or the logo also to mirrored image. It may not be visible in your computer screen in 1 to 10 scale, but in a large vehicle or truck size, it sure will be noticed. Notice it when you're designing, like you see the example in this slide. as you are designing to both sides of the vehicle, but already themselves are in mirrored images. On one side, the car's front is on the left, and the other side, when you look, it's on the right side. Then it's affecting everything. What to do with the photos you already know, but what to do with the texts, especially if there are more than one text lines. This may depend from the positioning of the text, and there may be some body line on the other side, a door slide maybe, what affects how you can put your text. Anyway, you have to think about this also. There are some examples. What you must think, decide and choose. You can align the text to the left, so the both sides, the text starts from the left. Same principle is if you make it from the right alignment. But if you have a client who wants to have a mirrored design solution, like our animal shelter example was, then you can make the text alignment as a mixed. Left alignment on one side and right alignment on the other side. There is also a fourth version. It's to make that a center alignment. But if you have some other details also, like in this example, my picture, then with centered alignment, you have to take the picture also to the center alignment. Without this, the design will be like out of balance, not centrally aligned. But you have to write it down to your design if you don't make the version, design version yourself. In mirror sides, there is also one thing you have to look at. Usually cars, especially vans' roofline, is done in a way that body line is curving downwards at the top. Not always, but many times. For example, this is Mercedes-Benz Viano, is like this. I presume this has something to do with the body structure hardening, or simply molding form is made that way, I don't know. But anyway, it curves downward at the back. If your design is touching the backward curve line, check this in your design. This is where the car blueprint come to help. If you have a photo as a design base, you are covering the body lines with your design. You don't see it because your design layer is on top of it. With blueprint, you can order the blueprint as on the top of your design. And you can see, is there any body curve or detail what is cutting to your design in unintentional way. For example, we had a situation where one of the side, their logo was looking perfectly with the body lines. But on the other side, when every information part was in a mirrored image, there were some problems. In the design example, here you can see, I marked it in blue, spots where logo has a problem. As logo has a film slide as a logo module, on one side it was suiting to the side line nicely, but on the other side you cannot flip a logo as it needs to be readable. This turned higher point of logo to the curved part of the body line, as you can see. Second problems are marked with yellow. One side is it okay, but on the other side the face of the model will be cut as under door handle. This is not nice. Also there are door slider what cuts humans in half. So these are things you have to take under advisement when you're designing to different sides of the vehicle.